Alright, it's been simmering away for 20 minutes. Still a little bit of moisture left in there. You can see here if I shake it up, it's almost a chili, but it hasn't quite firmed. That rice is still thinking about being cooked, but it's basically a lamb stew chili thing going on here. Lots of moisture still coming out. As I stir it, you can see all of the steam. I'm just going to give it some stirs here. I want as much of that moisture to evaporate as possible. Might have put a little bit too much in there. Between the jar of sauce and the cup and a half of water the rice needed, I probably could have skimped on the water that the rice wanted. In the meantime, I'm going to quickly chop up just two little scallions, green onions. I have already washed them. I'm just going to cut off the roots. Throw those away. I know they're good flavor, but not going down that road right now. And I'm going to slice these somewhat thin to add a fresh element and obviously an onion element to this dish. There's fire roasted corn, there's masala sauce, and there's lamb. And then there's the seasoned rice. But what there is not is any kind of a green flavor. I find these onions, green onions, well, first of all, they are called green onions, so they add a green flavor. And onions and lamb, yeah. Onions, lamb, rice, yeah. I could save a little bit of this and keep some of them fresh and crisp to sprinkle over on the top. I could also just dump these in there for flavor. Do I want some raw? Yeah, maybe. I'll put the root in there because that's where the majority of the flavor is. But then these tops, the green tops here, I will just have for garnish. And that'll brighten it up even more. So I should be able to get the onion flavor, and I should be able to get that crispness from these stalks. So I'm going to take my white end, the root end of my onion. I'm going to throw that right there in the pot. And I'm going to take a little bit more because I don't need to scatter the bowl with a whole onion. So I'm going to take about half, if not 3/4. Just need a little bit for the sprinkling. So let me just grab a little bit more here. I think that's plenty for garnish. And that's for flavor. Give it another stir, see if I can release some more of that steam. It's starting to stick to the bottom as well. So you know it's starting to gooify. That onion, get it all mixed in there. Release as much of that steam as possible. I don't want it to stick to the bottom because that'll burn, so I want to make sure I scrape every single bottom element, edge, get whatever off I can. But now you can see it's really starting to thicken up. That green onion will help. I'm going to turn off the heat because I don't want it to cook anymore. I don't want that rice to mushify either. So now there's some green onion in there. I'm going to let this chillax here for a little while. While I determine the vessel from which I will eat. I'm a single guy, so I have chosen a large mixing bowl. And I'm going to turn on another light so that you can see more clear here. And I think you could see that, edge of the hood, but you can see me chopping the onions, so you can see this. It's a good lamb stew. I'm going to use this big, huge bowl. I'll pour it out towards the camera if you can see it coming out. And this is where a spatula would come in handy. So I'm going to hold this thing with one hand, grab myself one of my brand new super cheap spatulas, silicone, of course, with a bamboo handle, and yet still super cheap. So you don't need an expensive spatula. It just needs to be silicone so that it doesn't melt. And then secondarily, it needs to have a decent handle. Now this has got that lollipop stick that just kind of goes into the middle, and eventually they break if you push too hard on them and whatnot. But at the price that, you know, they last a long time, and they're disposable, frankly. So the pot's all cleaned out. I'm gonna set that back over here. Well, I guess it's not gonna burn, so I'm gonna put that in there. I'm immediately filling up my big pot with hot water so that because basically it's chilly in there. And then for my garnish, boop. And there it is. That's my lamb fire roasted corn rice stew. And it's continuing to thicken as it starts to cool. And I think for this I'm going to use a very big spoon. And I garnished it there. I got some big lamb chunks, rice, corn. Every bite there's a chunk of lamb, rice, corn. Should be yummy.